And we live, man. Welcome to the Cold Truth Podcast, where we tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, and don't care how you feel about it. I'm your host, Whyteboichris. Just wanted to, I'm gonna try to see if I can't start incorporating this a little bit more, but just wanted to get into some of the games I'm playing more close attention to in week 5. You know, but ain't going. It's only probably about 5 or 6 games. But of course, just for me being a Baltimore fan, I am really paying attention to this Ravens versus Steelers game solely because we win this game, then so far we're gonna be undefeated in the division. We've already played the Bengals, already beat the Raiders. If we beat the Steelers right here, we'll be 3-0, and we'll be the only test undefeated as far as division opponents. You know, in our division. We kind of seen what the Steelers been on. Of course, we know what's going on with Joe Burrow and the Bengals, and of course, Deshaun Watson didn't play last week, so that did cause them a loss in their division. But just as far as this game, the Ravens are favored by 4.5. It's in Pittsburgh, but if you a true Ravens fan, I don't think you really just hooraying that you playing the Steelers right now. Because me personally, and this might just be me, you know, or actually it's not just me. This is just what it is. The Steelers, no matter who they got on their squad, you know, Mike Tomlin makes sure he get them boys up to play us. And that's just what it is. I don't want to call this a trap game because I don't feel like a trap game can be a division opponent. I mean, even though, you know what I mean, some people feel like, no matter, you know, division or non-division. They just feel like if it's a team you're supposed to beat, it's a team you're supposed to beat. But division games, they come with a lot more. You know what I'm saying? I think division games, y'all can disagree or agree. They just kind of seem like they more of a better game. I mean, I know in some cases that ain't the case. I mean, we can bring up Dallas versus the Giants at the beginning of the season, but outside of that, I mean, I can't recall a division game so far that ain't been like a tight knit game, but or out in them and the Buffalo Miami game. But that's only 2 games. You know what I'm saying? And there's been a lot of football played so much this season. We go into week 5, and we got a lot more to go. So this Ravens versus Steelers, like I said, I ain't finna take this lightly. Like I said, I feel like the Steelers, would have been a division rivalry, but even outside of that, just the history between these two teams, just as a whole, and it seems like anybody that walks into either one of those buildings, they kind of take on, you know, that history, like they've been a Steeler or a Raven their whole life, and they got to keep that rivalry or that tradition going. I feel like this is gonna be a tough play game. Now I know we've seen the Steelers, all season. They haven't looked particularly well. I mean, the one thing that I've been, getting criticized for is talking about, strength of competition. I understand they played the 49ers their first game. Next game they beat the Browns, beat the Raiders, and it's crazy because they only 2-2. But that last game to the Texans, you got people out here thinking they 1-3. Like, no, they still 2-2, which means they still, got plenty to fight for. It ain't like they got a losing record right now. That's why I feel like they are gonna get up for this game. This is a game that'll put them over 500. They'll be 3-2, and I feel like in order for Baltimore to win this game, because clearly that's what I'm going for, I feel like they just got to keep that momentum going from last week. When they played Cleveland. I mean, me personally, I don't think anything needs to change. You still gonna have to go against a top pass rusher in the league. You had Miles Garrett last week. Of course, you got T.J. Watt this week. You still have a top safety in the league and Minka Fitzpatrick. I do, I respect Cleveland secondary. You know what I'm saying, with who they have over there on the defensive side of the ball. Just when we talking about, Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome, people of that nature. So I definitely, the fact that we was able to, get the ball going down the field. And I know people try to say, oh, they didn't have a quarterback. I feel that, but at the end of the day, the Ravens offense ain't playing against the Cleveland offense. They playing against the Cleveland's defense. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it. Like, y'all were able to produce against their defense. You know, the Browns defense ain't no slouch. I mean, the Steelers notoriously they ain't no slouch either. So, that's just kind of how I feel about that. I feel like Baltimore really got to keep this momentum going in order for them to win this game. Like I said, Pittsburgh, they always seem like they want to play up to us. I don't want to call this a trap game, because it's kind of hard to call a division game a trap game because you got to see each other twice a year. But I definitely feel like this ain't going to be no walk in the park. Hopefully I'm wrong, but sometimes these division games, it can go either way. You never know. You know what I mean? But after that, this one is more just for the drama. The Jets versus the Broncos. You know, anybody that knows what happened this offseason, Sean Payton got hired to the Broncos, of course. The former coach of the Broncos, Nathaniel Hackett, became the offensive coordinator for the Jets when Aaron Rodgers got traded over there. Of course, we know Aaron Rodgers is out with an injury. That's probably going to keep him out for the rest of the season. So now it's up to Nathaniel Hackett to pretty much, coach up Zach Wilson, which he had no expectations of doing this season, was coaching anybody up. He probably thought he was going to get a vet who clearly he has a lot of, a prior relationship with. But, this is where we are. So the Jets versus the Broncos, they're playing in Denver. Broncos are favored by 2.5. That's literally only because they at home. So the way that, and these are, the odds based off of DraftKings. So, but the Broncos are favored by 2.5. And typically when you have a when your favorites by, points so low, they literally only give you that just because, you're at home. You know what I mean? And vice versa. If they give you, 2.5, 3.5, they give you that with, if you on the road or at home. So Jets versus Broncos, I really do think this is going to come down to a battle of, as far as the Broncos go, can they move the ball against the Jets defense? And then as far as the Jets go, I feel like it's the same thing. Because I do feel like that the Jets offense could be slightly better than the Broncos. But I really think we can agree that the Jets have a better defense. Just based off of what we've seen this season, the Jets have a better defense than the Broncos. Now, in order for the Jets to win this game, I definitely feel like that even though I feel the defense is going to do their job, that Zach Wilson's going to have to throw for at least 2 touchdowns. And I've been seeing some other lines where it's like, they don't think that he'll get over 1.5. So pretty much you got to score 2. But I think if you score 2, that you should be able to walk out of Denver with a W. And again, the only reason why I'm paying attention to this game is, like I mentioned before, the drama that's going on with it. So, you know, I know everybody got a lot to say about Zach Wilson right now. But if you just talk about the way that some of these teams been taking momentum from last week into the next week, we saw it on Thursday night, with Chicago going in the Washington. That was the best game we had seen from them all year, and they carried that over, to when they played Washington. I didn't. I mean, me personally, I thought that was going to be a lot closer game, considering the way that Washington just played Philadelphia, and we know that everyone talks about them as a clear cut, playoff team. So it's sort of just Washington's defense, and I don't really recall a game where Washington just got blown out. Maybe I missed one. Oh no, I think it was against it may have been against the Bills. They got blown out. Yep, it was the Bills. They got blown out 37-3. So, but yeah, besides that, like I said, I just feel like they really need to get a win. And when I say they, just as far as like, well, actually both of them, they both 1-3. Because I mean, as far as the Jets go, I don't think anybody's gonna get let go, just considering the circumstances that's going on. But if the Broncos get beat, and I said this last week, you know, it just fell into place that the Broncos ended up winning that game against Chicago. But I said it last week. I felt like if the Broncos would have lost in Chicago, the defensive coordinator had to go. Me personally, I still think he has to go. I still don't think he's that good. The fact that you were down by that much in the first place is still telling. I mean, the only thing that we can say so far for one game is like, okay, we see he can make adjustments. but he's only doing it for one game. So if you ask me, I feel like the Broncos have a lot more to lose if they lose this game. Because with the Jets, everybody's going to make an excuse as far as that, Zach Wilson was never the future. You know what I mean? Yeah, you can call him. Oh, yeah, you can say, oh, well, but he was a starter, all that. We all know that some dudes, they just ain't meant to be no starting quarterback in the league. Maybe, hey, maybe if he would have got drafted somewhere else, we'd be saying a whole other story. But we have to go off of what we have right now. He got drafted to the Jets. He hasn't looked good so bad, so much to where they went and drafted a damn near 40-year-old quarterback to replace him, knowing they would only have this dude for maybe a 2-3 year window. So shit. Like I said, the Jets, you have people that can throw a lot of excuses. The Broncos, shit. You see how they just got rid of Randy Gregory, but that ain't no excuse to me. So I don't know. You know, if you ask me personally, I feel like the Broncos have a lot more to lose, and if they do, then I feel like that Sean Payton is going to do a lot of soul searching with that team. I never thought that was a good job for him to take in the first place, but even still, you took it. I'm not going to sit here and like the offense has been terrible, but you brought in that defensive coordinator. I can't remember his name and I killed him last week, but hey, what's the difference between the defense we saw last year and the defense we're seeing this year? It's damn near the same people. The only thing you changed was the coordinator. So I don't know. I feel like Sean Payton gonna have to do some real soul searching with that team and look himself in the mirror, see what he could have did better, because that defensive coordinator is not the answer. But we can go on to the next. Now this is one that I do want to kind of pay attention to, kind of in the behind the scenes. The Eagles and the Rams. I mean, at this point, going into the third year is Jalen Hurts being a starter. We kind of know what the Eagles are. People say that they've taken a step back as far as, kind of just all around just because they do have some new coordinators. None, all of their wins have kind of looked ain't nothing been pretty, but they've been getting the W. You know what I'm saying? So we got to give credit where credit is due. Now, the Rams, I feel like they're back to being the Rams that we knew 2 years ago whenever they made that Super Bowl run and obviously won it. I don't think their defense is as good. I feel like they got the sleepers over there, but I feel like the offense, which of course is Sean McVay's, bread and butter. He's an offensive head coach. I feel like he's getting that back to what we were used to seeing. And on top of that, he's found a hidden gem. I hope I say his name right in Puka Nakua. And I feel like whenever Cooper Cup comes back, and if you can figure out how to use both of them dudes together, I think you're going to have something very special on offense. I feel like you have a hidden gem as far as two receivers and because it's almost like they're the same receiver. I mean, what was the thing that with Cooper Cup was finally through with Matthew Stafford? He had a lot of receptions. He's treating Puka Nakua the same exact way. He's getting him the ball. So now you got two dudes like that. Who you gonna double? Like they can both. It seems like they both can play inside, outside. I know Cooper Cup did a lot of his work on the inside of the slot. So hey, maybe you could put Nakua on the outside, and maybe that could be something we got to pay attention to, or move them both around. So I really do want to see how the Eagles defense plays against that. If Cooper Cup comes back this week, I don't think he's playing. I have to go back and check, but I don't think he's playing. So I feel like that's kind of like a sigh of relief for them. But when you just look at this Rams team, I feel like this is going to be a good test for them offensively. I know they already played the 49ers. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't like that was a close game. That game was a close game. So they already played them. They beat the Seahawks the first game of the season. Lost to the Bengals. I don't want to say demoralizing because it was so early in the season, but I feel like that was like a tough loss for them because that game was so close all throughout the game. That game was so close, but right now they are 2-2. I feel like this could be kind of like a statement game if they would have beat the Eagles. The Rams are at home. And I feel like the main thing they would have to do is kind of just address that run game. which, of course, that's everybody. That's easier said than done. But I do feel like it can be done. I feel like if you keep the Eagles under 20 points, you could possibly win this game. If you were to keep the Eagles under 20 points, I feel like you can win this game. So, and, on the side of the Eagles, it's just, I think they're finding a rhythm back on offense. I think it's they defense that's kind of like, okay, can they get back to that defense that we knew that was, leading the league and, sacks last year? You know what I'm saying? And I know a couple of their dudes are banged up, but I do feel like this would be a game for them to, go ahead and get everything firing on the right cylinders. Because I mean, it ain't like it's gonna get, you know, any easier as far as like any defenses they got to play. Because next week they got to play the Jets, and we know what their defense is. So that's just kind of how I feel about it. I don't really have a dog in this fight, but if you were to ask me who I would pick, shit, the Eagles are a 4-point favorite going into LA, and I'd probably take that. I feel like the Eagles probably win this by 3. Three to four, kind of how they got it. I just feel like it's gonna be. I don't think it's gonna be so much about the offenses. I feel like which one of those defenses is gonna get like a stop when it matters, because I feel like those are two good offenses that can. I think LA's run game is kind of underrated. I feel like they can both run the ball and get the ball down the field. So I feel like it'll come down to when it really matters which defense can get a stop. But I don't feel bad taking the Eagles in that. But I do feel like, as far as the Rams are keeping their season alive, they got to get that win. They got to get that win. But going on to the next topic. The only reason why I'm really paying attention to this game is because it has to do with a division rival in the Cincinnati Bengals. Look, we all know what's been going on with Joe Burrow. I understand he's hurt, but if you out there, hey, I can't really feel sorry for you. I understand, people will say, oh, well, he's injured. It's like, we always say, if you lace him up, all I can do is go off of what you put on tape. Sad but true. It's a dog eat dog world out here. So I really don't know which way to go in this game. The Bengals are a 3-point favorite, playing Arizona at home. Of course, that's one of them games where it's like it could go either way because that line is so small. Arizona's been playing everybody hard, bro. They've been playing like they ain't tanking for Caleb Williams. I know we all said, when they brought in Joshua Dobbs, like, oh, these niggas tanking. Shh. I can't tell, man. I mean, the way they playing these teams, it ain't like they just laying down and not giving it no effort. We done seen the way teams play when they really tanking. We've seen it. They ain't playing like they tanking. I mean, the only game I could just say that they really, just couldn't really do too much about was against the 49ers. But hey, you take that for what it is. But I don't feel like the Cardinals been laying down for nobody. I mean, hell, they only lost by 4 game 1 against the Commanders. Gave up that ridiculous comeback against the Giants in game 2. We understand that. They only lost that by 3. Of course, after that, come back and beat the Cowboys 28-16. But, lost to the 49ers 35-16. And then they got the Bengals this week. I can't definitively say that I don't give them a chance to win this game just based off of what I've seen. I mean, people could try to go to recent history like, oh, well, the Bengals started like this the past 2 years. Like, yeah, but how many times are you going to be able to start like that and get away with it? And this has been their worst start. Joe Burrow has been hurt almost every offseason, and this is the first time we've actually seen that roll over into the regular season. How are we to say that he's just going to be able to bounce back for this? I don't see it. I mean, do I think they're going to come, later on in the season and win some games? Yeah, I do. But I feel like it's going to be too late to make a difference in, like, especially even in the division. They've already lost against the Browns and Baltimore. So they're already 0-2 in the division. Do I see them going for a clean sweep? No, I don't. And even in that game against Baltimore, that was a competitive game. Y'all can say what y'all want to, like, oh, y'all be the injured Joe Burrow. Like I said, you out there injured, we got to take full. Ain't nobody get Lamar Jackson no goddamn passes when he was out there playing hurt and ultimately got hurt at the end of the day, couldn't finish the season, but was still winning, led the AFC. We ain't give no excuses. So I ain't, you know, if you out there, hey, all we can do is go off of what you put on tape. You win, you win. You lose, you lose. We can, you could tell your kids or your other fans or whoever your team is about the injuries and everything. Somebody to give a damn. I be having my moments too. But at the end of the day, we got to go to what is on the tape. So just to give my 2 cents, do I feel like the Bengals have more talent on their side of the ball? I do. So I'll go ahead and pick them to win this game. I feel like it's going to be a closer game than what people would have initially anticipated at the beginning of the year. So I'll probably take that line, say the Bengals win by 3. I don't think that's too crazy to consider. Like, we know what the Cardinals are going to bring. We just unsure of what's going to happen with the Bengals because it looked like it's just looked different every week. It's like you think they done found a groove one week, then the next week is just like, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? But moving on, Texans versus Falcons. I like CJ Stroud. I know that, we talk about a lot of quarterbacks coming into the league, trying to see if it's going to translate to the NFL. But I really think that CJ Stroud is a diamond in the rough. And the fact that this is what I think, maybe this is just me. So I do pay attention to the side of the ball as far as like a head coach. What side of the ball do you operate on? Are you an offensive coach or a defensive coach? I like the fact that CJ Stroud is doing this with a defensive head coach. That means whoever that offensive coordinator is, the defense coordinator trusts him to let a rookie quarterback just go out there. Now, last game it wasn't pretty, you know what I'm saying, under 50%, but he threw up for over 300 yards, and we see what they did to the Steelers. We look at that. We look at, if nothing else, we look at the Steelers defense, at least their defense, as one of the top in the league. They offense could be a little shaky here and there, but we know what that defense brings. And they let a rookie, and typically when you got a defense like that, you don't just have rookie quarterbacks picking you apart like that. And he did that to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I went and looked. I don't think anybody was injured. I think everybody was there, healthy, playing. TJ was there. Minka was there. Patrick Peterson was there. Newsom was, them niggas was there. Not, but yeah, they was there. They was there. So I don't know. This game, I'm watching just as a fan of the Texans, but I mean, not the Texans, but CJ Stroud. But I really do. I know a lot of people want to look at this game like, oh, that's just the Falcons. That ain't really no. Yeah, I get it, but at the end of the day, this is still his rookie year. Teams are gonna be throwing a little bit of everything different at him. I do feel like Calais Campbell is a force to be reckoned with. Not that he's known as a pass rusher, but he can definitely, disrupt some shit. So we'll see. I just kind of like how he been playing lately, just to be honest with you. That's just me. That's just me personally. But last but not least, the Cowboys versus the 49ers. I have been getting some hell over this shit for the past week. So you know what? I ain't nitpicking no more. Some shit I'm just gonna chalk up to wins and losses. People was getting mad at me because I was talking about red zone, touchdowns and scoring, all this and yada yada. Okay, that's cool. We'll just focus on what the score was at the end of the game. And as far as who I'm picking, I ain't got no dog in this fight. I don't really care. Only reason why I'm picking the 49ers is because I got 3 of them niggas on my fantasy. I got Brock Purdy, Brandon Ayuk, and Debo Samuel. And I need all of them to go stupid. So this ain't no football fan I'm wanting them to win. This is my fantasy football wanting them to win. Besides that, I don't really care. Because I feel like if they don't win, they can't put up numbers for me. But other than that, I ain't got no dog in this fight. But just looking at the betting odds, Cowboys and the 49ers. The 49ers are, favored by 3.5. Of course, that's only because they're playing in Levi Stadium in San Fran. So that's what that is. So the bettors are saying that they think this is going to be a real competitive game. What do I feel now? San Fran, as far as what I feel they need to do to win the game, I feel like they just need to keep doing what they're doing. I mean, I don't know if y'all saw, but I mean, I brought it up. I mean, I want to say I can't remember how many regular seasons games in a row it was, but I can probably go back and look right now. I think it's been one, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7 games in a regular season in a row where they've scored 30 or more points. I feel like if they can keep that up, keep doing that and then just let their defense do the job, I think this will stay a pretty competitive game and they'll probably win by the 3 points. With Dallas, I just feel like that, everybody as a whole, team, head coach, quarterback, I don't feel like they can make this. I don't feel like they can be they can't be soft in this game. I feel like Dallas is really gonna have to be aggressive in this game. If they try to be all passive and take it easy, I feel like the 49ers is gonna take them dudes lunch money, man. And that's just me. You know, be aggressive with the run. If you got a second and short or even on first down and you feel like you got a matchup you like, be aggressive. Take a shot. I know Mike McCarthy said he wanted to lean towards more running the ball, but it's some games where like, yeah, you want to establish the run, but if it's certain situations, you got to take a shot to keep the defense on their heels. That's just how I feel about it. So I mean, like as far as who I pick, like I said, I'm literally just picking because of fantasy. I feel like if the 49ers don't win, then my players in my fantasy ain't gonna have no numbers. But as far as just as fandom, I really don't care. I just want to see a good game. A lot of people that know me know sometimes I don't even give a damn who win or who lose with some games. I really, I root for Baltimore, and then for the most part, as far as like Cincinnati, Cleveland Steelers, I root for them to lose whoever they playing against. That's kind of how I am. I just like to see good football games. You ask anybody that knows me, if I see a trash football game and I feel like I will turn that shit off. I will switch to another game. So I really don't have a dog. I just want to see a good game. I like to see good, competitive defense, back and forth. You score, okay, you come back with an answer. I like to see good football games. I'm a all around football fan. I love the game of football. I just want to see a good game. So, like I said, as far as my fantasy, I picked the 49ers. As a football fan, I really don't care. I just want to see a good ass game. So, but yeah, that's just kind of how, just recapping the 49ers. Definitely, I feel like they just got to keep doing what they're doing. If they can, if they can slow down that, I feel like if they can slow down the Cowboys' run game and kind of put them in a bind to where they have to throw it, that's kind of where they'll get them to where they pass rush and, do what they do best. But on the other side, like I said, with the Cowboys, I just feel like they got to be aggressive. I don't feel like they can be passive at all and try to do all that. Oh, let's run it, dink and dunk it. No, I definitely think they're gonna take some shots down the field. Let Brandon Cooks do what he does best. Let him use them burners. Give CeeDee Lamb a couple, quick early passes just to get him in a rhythm. You do that, I feel like, you should be able to beat this team. You know, I don't think it's that difficult. Like I said, Brandon Cooks is clearly, I feel like one of the better downfield receivers. I don't, you know, if there was a game to use him for that downfield, for his speed to get downfield, shit, he been getting 1,000 yards with shit 6, 7 different quarterbacks for a reason. Use them. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, them pretty much just all the games I'm gonna be paying attention to. Ravens, Steelers, Texas Falcons, Jets, Broncos, Eagles, Rams, Bengals, Cardinals, and of course Sunday night Cowboys and 49ers. But that's been another episode of the Cold Truth Podcast. Your host White Boy Chris. You normally catch us on Tuesday night to recap every week of the NFL season. But until then, I'm going to holler at y'all, man.